welcome back to another Slimefun Tips and Tricks episode with your host, Boomer. Today, we're starting something new here in Tips and Tricks where we're going to be comparing all of the different machines. We're going to look at all the possible dust farm systems. We're going to start looking at ingot production, comparing the data and the numbers of everything. What does it all mean and how does it help you? To start with today, we are going to look at dust production. The traditional dust farm involves ore grinders, gold pans, and dust washers. And that's what players had to use for a long time. Now, not all that long ago, although not recently, dust extractors and dust fabricators came into the game. And these are a little bit more higher end machines that do all-in-one, where from cobble, it will take that directly to dust. And of course, I would expect the recipes to be a little bit pricier. So let's kind of look at some of these first to begin with. Let's get back to core Slimefun. So ore grinders. A level 1 ore grinder runs at speed 1. A level 2 ore grinder runs 4 times the rate. And a level 3 runs at 10 times the rate. Now I want you to keep a couple things in mind. When you see a machine that says 1 times speed, and you see a different machine that says 1 times speed, that does not mean those two machines run at the same speed. That is the base level speed for that machine. For example, a level 1 speed 1 ore grinder does not run the same as a speed 1 gold pan. It is level 1 for the ore grinder, it's level 1 for the gold pan, it's level 1 for the dust washer. Now in some cases they will match up, but they're not meant to. Please don't infer that. That's not what they do. Okay? They each have their own unique speeds. So when you look at the dust washer, goes from speed 1 to speed 2 to speed 10, right? 10 times. 1, 3 to 10 in the gold pans, and 1, 4, and 10 in the ore grinders. So not only do we have to find out what each one of those means, how does that compare to the other machines in order to make the most productive farms we possibly can? So what we're going to test to start with, I'm going to run the 3 electric ore grinders, gold pans, and dust washers. And then I'll come back with the numbers. And then I'm going to run the dust extractor versus the fabricator. We'll come back with those numbers as well. But let's start with the basic 3. So as soon as I put this down, our cargo manager, that will start our timers. And we'll begin. I'll be back in a little bit with the numbers. Alrighty guys, you ready for the numbers? Let's dig in. We'll start with the level 1 ore grinder. So level 1, speed 1, this is the baseline for all future ore grinders. It took 6 seconds to pull and process cobble and transfer it out. 6 seconds. Now, what that also includes is the time for cargo to pull the item out of the ore grinder, as well as the machine to move it from one side to the other. So we know we have 1 Slimefun tick on a cargo. That brings it down to 5.4. And there's a little bit of time as well for the machine to actually move from the left to the processing side and then into the right. So going forward, you might say to me, the numbers don't match up. They actually do. A level 2 ore grinder, which runs at 4 times the speed, took 2.4 seconds. So if a level 1 took 6, and a level 2 is 4 times faster, you would think it would run in 1.5 seconds. But again, you've got to take out 0.6 for the tick, for the cargo, plus a little bit of time to move the item back over. So realistically, if a level 1 is at 5.4 seconds, a level 2 being at 1.8, that's 3 times faster. But again, there's just a little bit of time for the machine as well. So 4 times really is accurate. If we move over to the level 3 ore grinder, right? This is getting boomer size now. It took 1.2 seconds to process cobble. So again, with the tick coming out for cargo to move it out, we're down to 0.6, so 9 times faster. But again, there's a tiny little bit of time just for the machine to move the item. So 1, 4, and 10 really is accurate. Remember, that's processing time for the machines to do whatever it needs to do with the item. It doesn't include the time to move the item. All right. So those numbers are really pretty much right on. If we go to the gold pans right behind us here, we'll start at level 1, gold pan. Oh, that's level 3. There we go, level 1. All right. So the speed on level 1 gold pan is different than it is on an ore grinder. To process the gravel in a gold pan took 4.8 seconds. When we moved over to a level 2, it took 2.4 seconds. And then we moved over to a level 3, it took 1.2. So again, when you take out the 0.6 of a second for cargo, and then that tiny little bit of ticks for the machine, 1, 3, and 10 is pretty darn close. So 4.8 seconds per gravel in a level 1, that's 20% faster than an ore grinder. So when you're setting up your dust farm, we now have numbers to work off of. For every 10 gold pans, you need 12 ore grinders. Or for every 5 gold pans, you need 6 ore grinders. Now what about dust washers? Well, before we get to the dust washers, let's talk about what the gold pan produces, because we've got to figure out how many dust washers we need per gold pan. So in a standard configuration, gold pans will yield 35% dust, 40% flint, 20% clay, and 5% iron. After running a double chest of cobble to gravel through all that, the numbers I got were all very close to that, less than 0.75% off for every single one of them. So if only essentially 35% of what gets run through a gold pan becomes dust, if I run 10 gold pans, I need 3.5 dust washers. So here would be the perfect ratio: 7 dust washers to 20 gold pans to 24 ore grinders. At that rate, every machine is running, if cargo round robin is perfectly running right, every machine is perfectly balanced and running at maximum efficiency. Now, most of us know that cargo doesn't run perfect and isn't scheduled for a rewrite. If it's not going to be late this year, it'll probably be next year. So to play it safe, I would add 2 extra ore grinders and 1 extra gold pan, and eventually the machines will all catch up and be backlogged, which is fine. They're all running maximum efficiency at that point anyways. So if they backlog a tiny little bit, that's perfectly fine. It will take some time, but it will work. But again, when it does get balanced out perfectly, 7 dust washers, 20 gold pans, 24 ore grinders. So let's move on to the dust washers. Why can I say that that's the speed again? It does take 6 seconds for a dust washer 1 to process the sifted ore in the dust. Level 2 is 3.6 seconds, and that's only at a speed 2. And then level 3 is 1.2 seconds, a level 10. So in this case, the level 1 and 3 dust washer just happen to match up with the level 1 and 3 ore grinders. The level 3 dust washer, level 3 gold pan, and level 3 ore grinders all match. But remember, again, there's always that little bit for cargo, and it's a tiny bit for the machines to move it. So when we say 1 and 2 and 10 times speed for the dust washers, that's pretty darn accurate. Fractions of a second. Now, I mean, we're talking, 1/100th of a second at this point. It might be slightly off. All right, so we have one more test to run. We're now going to run the dust extractors versus the dust fabricator. So when I come back with those numbers, we'll see what they yield. All right, guys, are you ready for the final set of numbers on our dust farms? We actually added, in addition to testing the dust extractor and the dust fabricator, we also brought in Infinity Expansion's dust extractor. And numbers are staggering. We're going to start with the slowest of the 3, the dust fabricator. All right. This produced 1.2 dust per second. It's, 1 cobble yields 1 dust. So from a productivity standpoint of resources, all of it converts to dust. So if you're low on cobble, it's not a bad machine. But for the price that it takes to make this, you essentially can make the dust extractor. The dust extractor made over 5 times the fabricator. It was 6.63 dust per second with essentially the same recipe. Just a couple minor variations, but ultimately from a cost perspective, it's essentially identical. But it does lose on resources a little bit. Okay, it's 4 cobble to make 2 dust, but 5 times the speed. Actually, almost 5.5 times the speed. I'll take that every single time. However, let's get up to the boomer size level, right? The infinity dust extractor. Riley, are you ready for this? Of course you are, because you made it and you know this number. 100 cobble per second were processed into dust. Produces 50 dust per second. That's what I'm talking about. 50 dust per second. Yeah. Oh, that's boomer. Oh, yeah. That's getting some power going through there, baby. So, guys, I hope you found this helpful. Definitely, you can use those calculations to set up your ultimate farm. Make things a little bit easier for you. Determine what kind of resources you're going to need. But whether you're going from ore grinder 1 to gold pan 1, whatever it is that you happen to do, get the machines up and running as quickly as you can. The faster you do, the faster you can build your farm because you have more resources available. But in the meantime, don't forget, when you play Minecraft, you gotta go boomer or you gotta go home. We'll see you later.